is only for men. And before I unleash Todd to the world here, I'd like to hit you with this statistic. In 2001, there were 1.8 million registered female hunters in the United States. In 2013, the number almost doubled to 3.3 million and continues to rise. So what do you say when people say hunting is only for men?
Women are the biggest percentage of new hunters out here. And so there is definitely a space for women in the hunting community. In my eyes, they are welcome. And so it's a situation, though, where traditionally, I mean, we started this conversation talking about being out in the woods with my dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's these perceptions that's kind of how it was. It was kind of like a patrilineal kind of thing, but absolutely not. It's for anybody. And I have so many friends, James, that are incredible hunters, that are incredible mentors, that do so much for conservation, that are women that represent the hunting community well. People in New York, like my friend Krista Whiteman, her Instagram handle is Artemis Ascendant, okay? And people like a lot of other people like her in New York that run the Becoming an Outdoors Woman program, Katrina Talbot, Jill Trunco, Mandy Bailey Watson, Colleen Donito, and I could go on. And then nationally, it's the same thing. I have so many people out there that I just admire and respect so much. My colleague at Rough Grouse Society, Ashley Peters, who is a grouse lady on Instagram. She's one of the very best out there in representing conservation, being a great ambassador for women, being a mentor, being a role model. She's just like her and her friends just nail it. And they create a doormat. They create a welcoming mat for other women to see themselves in this space. And that's kind of where the perception, I think, starts in terms of with women, if you're interested in getting in hunting. But if all you're seeing are pictures of men doing it, optically, you're going to think that that's what that community is about. So if there's opportunities through programs like Artemis, through the National Wildlife Federation, or other women hunting organizations that create this community, that have pictures that show visibility, so that if you're a woman out there, you want to hunt, you can see yourself in this space. You can find role models to do it, and it's going to be something that's rewarding for you. It's also going to be something that's going to be incredibly beneficial to the future of hunting. We're going to have better decisions. Like, how could you think that only half of humans, if you're only including half the people because of gender, or a quarter, or however you identify with gender, in the conversation, think about how many conversations we could have and how much better decision making we can have if we invite everybody to the table. So I hope that helps.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that was a terrific answer. A lot of people could look up and follow online. And I actually think, in general, women tend to be much more detail-oriented than men. And with hunting, it is a very detail-oriented sport, if you will. And actually, I mean, in my mind, women would make better hunters than men for that reason. That's obviously a generalization, but it's a positive generalization to women. I do think that they would make it better hunters. And actually, too, one thing to mention, if you are a woman who is interested in getting into hunting, I know women's archery has gone through the roof in the last 10 years. That people are flocking to the bows, and if that's some women aren't really interested in guns, or they might frighten them a little bit, even though after an afternoon it won't frighten you. But archery, I can attest to. Archery is such a fun activity. Oh my God, I just love it so much. And I shoot with my daughter all the time. My daughter's 6. She has gravitated towards it so well, and it's a terrific activity that we do together right in our backyard. But I do highly recommend archery being something that you look into. If you never thought that might be something you'd be into, I bet you might enjoy it.
Yeah, such great advice. It's a great entry point. And it's something, just like you touched on, you can do it with your family. You can do it in your yard.
Totally.
You can do it out of what's typically hunting season in the fall. It's just something that you can do, and it's enjoyable. And it's, once you get kind of that bug about it, it's just something that can really be an exciting path to the outdoors.
It's exactly that. It's a path to the outdoors, and also too with archery, versus rifles. Once you have the bow, you have a dozen arrows. You're good. You don't need to buy anything else. Whereas every time you go out and shoot a rifle, you're gonna have to clean your rifle after that's ammo costs money. Then you have to get more ammo. With archery, you got it and you're done. You're good. You don't need to spend any more money. You can shoot 1,000 times a day and you're not spending any money. So it is a very good entry point. That's a good way to put it. Moving on to number 8, misconception number 8: hunters are wasteful and selfish.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say about that? I mean, I suppose some people are, whether you're a hunter or not, right? I mean, we all know people that are wasteful and selfish, but I think to characterize that as a hunting kind of characteristic, I don't know. Like most of the people that I associate with take a great deal of ownership and responsibility for utilizing every single bit of that animal that they can. They recognize the gravity of the situation, of what they've done and what that animal has given to them, given their life so that we have nourishment and food. And so the folks that I circle with are just the opposite in terms of really utilizing. I mean, they're like amazingly creative ways of eating meat and eating every piece that you can, from like even like deer tongue and just different just different stuff like that, and shanks, like the lower part of the legs, where people might not think, oh geez, how do I cook this? But there are just resources to be able to do it. You can put them in crock pots, and people I know that are like making bone broth, roasting the bones after it's been baked, and making broth out of that and using that for a stock for soups and stews. And so I think you can go in the opposite direction of that. And to me, that's part of the ethic around it. That's what I owe that animal, along with what I feel is that, here's what I always say, is that hunting is a great privilege, and with any privilege comes responsibilities. And you have responsibilities to the animal, and you also have responsibilities to its habitat, and so I think it's showing respect to be able to utilize as much as you can and not be wasteful. And whether people hunt or not, wastefulness, we all know people who are wasteful, and it's not attractive. And, that's what I'll leave it at.
Sure, hunting really is a great privilege that does come with great responsibility. And I do think you really hit it on the head there. And I also say that for those who don't know or may not run in a circle of people who are hunting, hunters often tend to be quite generous with the meat in their freezers. So don't sleep on that. Hunters are often just so excited to share their meat with you, or share a meal with you with something that they harvested themselves. I've found that is a very commonality with many of them. They're excited about it. They want you to enjoy this bountiful harvest that they worked so hard to attain as well. And we can't sleep on that fact.
Yeah, we call that venison diplomacy in the circle that I run in. And it's one of the things, I think it's one of the most effective things you can do to share a meal with somebody. Sit down at your table, share a meal, have that food, and talk about how that food lived and where it came from and what the implications are. So I totally agree with you, James. It's like that sharing part of it is so important. And for my hunting friends, sharing meat with new hunters, I think, is incredibly important. I do that. And also sharing meat with landowners. Maybe they've let you hunt it on their property. If they let you hunt on their property and they're interested in partaking in that, that's another great kind of move and a great gesture to be thankful for it. So
yeah, it's kind of like the unwritten code. You got to hook the landowner up with some fresh meat and some good stuff, not just burger or sausage. You hit them with some good cuts too. They'll allow you to come back for years to come.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, misconception number 9. Hunter, sorry, it makes me laugh because this is pretty much what I tend to hear. Hunters are either unintelligent hillbillies or rich and elite.
Yeah.
Nothing in the middle.
So,
Yeah,
mhm.
go for it.
Yeah. So if that's what you see optically, then
Yep,
I can understand. So if you've ever watched outdoor TV or something and that's what you see, then I can understand where that's how that stereotype might come out.
sure. It's a
And
stereotype.
likewise,
It's a good word. That's the stereotype for sure.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's a stereotype. And so I think anybody, I'm a hunter, and yeah, I know people that come across that way. And I know people that are very wealthy that travel and take trips and everything like that. The majority of hunters out there who do it because of their lifestyle, who do it because of their passion for the outdoors, because they want to have some agency with their food, are very intelligent people. So many of the people, like we're having this conversation about who's coming in to the hunting space. And I'll give you one example. I have a friend, I won't mention names. He lives in Brooklyn. Last year, before COVID, we did a backyard venison barbecue at his place in Brooklyn. Okay. And we invited a bunch of friends. And, he's a neurosurgeon. And so, he is very thoughtful. He is super intelligent, of course, being a neurosurgeon. And, we had this conversation this year about his hunting journey and his path with deer hunting. This is like his maybe second year hunting. I don't know. He's pretty new into it. But I hear these stories again and again and again. And so I think that those are the stories that I try to amplify on my podcast, because I recognize that these conversations kind of reflect stereotypes. And I see so many amazing people out there on a day-to-day basis. And I'm not implying that you have to be a neurosurgeon to want to start hunting, by the way, but I'm just saying that that's one example. And most of the people that I know that want to start are very thoughtful, very intelligent, very educated people.
Absolutely. It's definitely a common misconception. And while it's not untrue, but that those two categories of people definitely exist in this world, but I would definitely say the vast majority are, for me anyways, are just some of the smartest and most capable outdoors men and women that I've ever met. They're just so in tune with nature. And when you watch people just walk through the woods, and for you, if you're new at it, or you're not really used to really looking around at the environment, it might just look like the woods. But then you'll see someone who's been doing this for 20 years, and they'll be like, hey, this is over here. This was from a deer over here. Oh, there's tracks over there that they spotted 20 yards away. Or, there's droppings over there that they spotted 50 yards away. And it's so impressive what people can do. And I definitely, obviously we know that the hillbilly type is out there, and the really snobby rich elite are out there. But I would say that is again, a very small sect of the hunting community. And I think, as I mentioned before, hunting for sure needs a new branding, because that is what it's been branded as for so many people. And I think personally, you mentioned like outdoors TV shows. I will say, as somebody who works in the film industry and the television industry, I do find the vast majority of outdoors programming to be pretty terrible. But I will say what Steve Rinella and the Meat Eater crew do, I'm a huge fan of him, and I think he creates the branding that, in my mind, the hunting community needs. He's such an intelligent person. He has a master's degree in literature. He has been hunting his whole life. He's so articulate and elegant about how he does it. And he's all about, he has the cookbook that he's always, cooking food from, and he's just such a smart person. And his whole crew, all of the people that are on his show or on his podcast or associated with the Meat Eater brand, just in general, they're all the same. They're just like him. And I do think that is the kind of the face and the branding that hunting needs. It's kind of like your man's man of old with a very modern, thoughtful tone
Yep.
that I think everybody could really jump on board with. And I think what they're doing is a fantastic thing for the community as a whole.
Yeah,